Welcome to I'll Be There, the ultimate wedding podcast by Priya
and Nim
from Pristine Events. Whether you're a bride-to-be
or a groom gearing up
or just a wedding lover at heart, we've got you. Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of I'll Be There. I'm Priya.
I'm Nim.
And today we are talking all about wedding coordinators.
That's us.
That is us. So I thought we could shed a lot of light on this topic that we obviously are both really passionate about. But let's just delve in, because I think sometimes people don't even really understand what a wedding coordinator is.
I didn't know what a wedding coordinator was.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, especially grooms that I speak to, and I don't take any offence to this, almost without fail, I think grooms can speak to me on a level, A, because I've gone through it, B, because I'm a guy. They'll say, my bride, insert name, wanted to get a wedding coordinator, and I told her, I don't think we need one. And then, fast forward, at the end of the wedding, they were like, oh my God, I can't believe how good you guys were today. Like, we couldn't have done this day without you. I'm just like...
Literally.
That's why I'm wearing my outfit today.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, I didn't even... Yeah, love that. Bit of pristine merch. Love it. Okay, fine. So basically, most of the time you're right, grooms are the ones that are really unsure. Brides are the ones that initially are like, don't think we need one, but maybe as it gets closer, and then like, okay, who's actually going to do all this stuff on the day? So let's go through, first of all, what is the difference between a wedding coordinator, a venue coordinator, and a catering coordinator?
Well, let's talk about what a venue coordinator and a catering coordinator do. So the venue coordinator is responsible for everything to do with the venue, right? So they're going to help you with where all the entrances, the exits are. They're going to help with the lighting, the air conditioning. They'll tell you where you can and can't go. They'll probably do a check beforehand at the end of the visit to make sure that, you know, everything's in the proper order that it should be when you receive the venue and also when you give back the venue. And they're also on hand for sort of extra things. For example, if they have the tables and chairs available at the venue, they'll tell you where the extra ones are. But for the most part, they'll kind of be just pointing where things are. But that's because that's the remit of their job. I'm sure some of them do slightly more and some of them get a little bit more involved. But for the most part, their responsibility is to the venue. Similarly, with the catering manager, they're responsible for all the food service. So timings, preparation, make sure everything's hot, the service, all of that kind of stuff. Sometimes also the drinks as well.
Yeah.
But that's kind of their forte. I think very broadly speaking, where we come into play is the guest side of things, so the guest management, and also the couple. And I think probably most importantly, especially for you, like it's the couple. Like we're looking after the couple and making sure that for them on the day, they don't have to stress. Like they've dealt with all the stress in the build up to the wedding if they haven't got us on as planners and they're just getting us on to coordinate on the day. And it just gives them the peace of mind to be able to enjoy the day without having to think about who's actually executing all of these things that I've organised. Yeah. And also without them having to rely on their friends or family members to sort out things that actually we can do and allow their family members to chill out.
Yep, I completely agree. And adding on to your point, so yes, we are very much guest facing and dealing with all the guest issues, which is your favourite thing to do. And then dealing with the couple, but actually we are also overseeing all of the suppliers and making sure that, not that we need to check what they're doing is right, but the amount of times that we've done things and we always go and double check to be like, just want to check with you, you've got X, Y, and Z song, or you've got this dance mix ready for this performance. And the DJ will be like, oh, they didn't send me that, or I've got an old mix, haven't got the new one, or I didn't know they added that in. So actually there sometimes is a lot of miscommunication, especially if you're adding things last minute. It's over WhatsApp, you've forgotten what you've told who, and things can get missed. And even the other day we did a wedding and you were like to the catering manager and you were like, cool, main's coming out at 5:30, and they were like, oh no, sorry, main's coming out at 4:30, and they were like, no 5:30, and you were like, no, mains are coming out at 4:30, and then they checked their document and they were like, oh God, you're right, it is 4:30.
Yeah, and the problem with that is that we went into that day and kind of introduced ourselves, and certain people and certain times different suppliers kind of get their backs up against the wall a little bit. I think they feel that we're going to be telling them what to do, and then for the most part, whilst we're ensuring things happen, we're not telling anybody what to do, we're just ensuring everything happens. So when we got there that day, like there was always already a little bit of friction because they felt that I was just coming to boss them around, and obviously we weren't there to do that. And so every time we discussed anything, they were like, we've got it, and if somebody's so hostile to you back, you obviously don't want to make a scene. You obviously kind of don't want to like push it too far. So I'm like, okay, cool. For the most part, like they said that they've got everything. I've said, look, do you know about the allergens? Do you know about the timings? Yep, got it. And not really giving me the opportunity to be like, look, I just want to run through everything, because they were very kind of standoffish.
Yeah.
And so even at that point, when I went to check on the food service, luckily it was like 45 minutes before. It was very much, I know you've got this under control, but just checking 4:30 was still good for, because sometimes there can be 10, 15 minutes, for example, in Asian weddings to make sure the naans are fresh, etc. And that's when they were like, no way, we've got it for 5:30. I mean, luckily I'd gone to them at that point. But again, like, there's a lot of things going on at a wedding, and I'm not saying that catering managers need to be told what to do or venue people need to be told what to do, because the same thing can happen at venues. Sometimes the person on the day isn't the person that you've been dealing with in the lead up to the wedding. So they might have down, for whatever reason, maybe they have an old version of a spreadsheet, and we always have the most up-to-date one because we're in constant communication on WhatsApp with the couple. They might have down on their spreadsheet, event finishes at 11, but actually 2 weeks ago they've paid for an extended license and it finishes at midnight. Had we not had that conversation at the beginning of the day, they would have started being like, no, suppliers, speaking to the DJ directly, because their responsibility, like I said, is for the venue to be cleared and to be kind of sorted at a certain time, and started telling the DJ, oh, like, you know, it needs to be, you guys need to be out at X time. And that's why we always make sure at the beginning of the day that we kind of check in with all the different kind of heads of their respective teams. So DJ, catering, venue, whatever,
decor,
photo booth.
Photo video,
yeah.
No, I completely agree. And what's frustrating is, and we'll get onto this afterwards, is that nobody will ever know these are the conversations that we've had that have stopped the mains going out at the wrong time, stopped the party ending an hour earlier because you've now paid for an extension that they're not aware of, or, you know, stopped these kids actually, don't know how to make my point, stopped these kids not being able to have their meal because actually we've reminded the chef, oh, actually there's three kids meals going out that they've forgotten about, which can happen, and it's human. Everyone, you know, it's easy, it's very high pressure jobs that we all do, and it's very easy to sometimes overlook things, and we're not there, like you said, to tell anyone anything. We're just there to double check that everyone's working from the same kind of sheet and a pack. And that's why we recommend for all of our couples, even just on the day coordination couples, that they send all of the suppliers our pack. And it's really nice to see, because especially recently, the events that we go to, the DJ has our pack open, the caterers have printed out our pack, the venue even has our pack. So it's nice because then there's less room for error because everyone's working from the same thing.
And also when everybody, it's like in any job, like often there's project managers, and some people might be like, why do you need a project manager? But it just brings people together because everybody, during the lead up to the wedding, whilst individual emails are being sent out, there's no kind of single email that's being sent to all the like different suppliers, because they've got millions of other weddings going on and different events that are going on, so they can't be involved in this like massive group chat where everything's being kind of finalized. So the DJ's working from one hymn sheet, the caterers are working from one hymn sheet. If the DJ's like, oh, actually, you know, for whatever reason my AV people are going to take another half an hour to set up, that's going to push everything back. But if that hasn't been communicated back to the catering team, they're going to then have everything prepared half an hour too early. And we're just the people who in the week lead up, if it's just on the day coordination, have tied everything together. Just be like, look guys, this is the final plan, rather than the DJ. I don't know, we keep targeting the DJ, but like the DJ said, telling the caterer, like, we're the people who are overseeing everything, because whilst we're overseeing everything, we don't have a specific responsibility for a sole part of the wedding. We have oversight of everything. Because that would be the couple were they not directly involved in the wedding. Because they're the only people aside from us who know everything that's going on.
Exactly. And people do rely on family members and friends, and it's just very stressful for them. Like it's being able to have someone else who can just run your day, deal with the suppliers, deal with all the hiccups, like deal with the stuff that's going wrong, and keep on top of timings. It just means that they can just be present, enjoy the day. Also, it's a lot of expectation to put on your family and friends when they haven't really been involved with the meetings. They also don't necessarily know what these suppliers look like, so they're looking around the room being like, who is the catering manager, or who is decor, or who's the photographer. Like, well, photographer's probably obvious, but you know what I mean. They don't actually know who they're speaking to, and they also don't know what's been agreed, what's been changed, unless they've been in every single Zoom call, site visit, email. Like, it is very hard to keep on top of it, and at least for the most part we work with a lot of these suppliers regularly, and even if we don't, we understand how the majority of suppliers work to be able to come in, adapt, and deal with what needs to be done. So I think it just means that they can just enjoy the day that you spent all this time and money and effort on, and the couple can enjoy the day. So yeah, we are super passionate about that, and like you said, our priority is the couple, and we work really hard to make sure that whatever they've asked us to do and whatever's been put down in the pack is done and is executed, and anything else that comes up in between, whether it means running and doing a last minute wine shop because the bar ran out of wine and we went to pick up some more, or helping an elderly person get to the ceremony that, you know, they had no way of getting there otherwise. Like, we will do these things in between to get it done. And this is why I get really pissed off when some catering companies will say you don't need a wedding coordinator because you get a coordinator with our package. It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
It really isn't. And I can't get my head around why some catering companies are saying that, because like you said, their priority is the food quality, the food coming out on time, the food taste. It's not, they don't know what song you're walking down the aisle to. They don't know like what bridesmaids and groomsmen are involved in the performances or the speeches. Like they don't know what photos need to go on your screen for, you know, your same day edit or
They're
what
not
time.
going to queue the photos either. They're not going to find the extra family members from different rooms to bring them in for their speech.
Yeah. So I don't really understand it. And that's why we've had some couples who have inquired and then emailed and been like, actually, we're okay because our catering company said that we get a catering coordinator included. So I'm like, okay, it's not the same.
Good luck.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, it's not the same, but fine. And those same couples will then message a few months before their wedding being like, please say you're still available on our date, because they've realised probably when they've had a meeting with the caterer to be like, well, you're not going to queue any of the religious stuff or cultural stuff or ceremony stuff. You don't really get involved with the family too much. You aren't involved with any of the speeches or performances or any. So actually what you're coordinating is the food, which is what you're there to do basically. And don't get me wrong, some catering companies are amazing that we work with regularly and we have a really good relationship. And like you said, you do need to be in constant communication, because if like things are running late, we need to give them at least 20 minutes heads up, because if they've started prepping, then obviously they can't stop, or cooking, they can't stop halfway through. So it's not all of them, but I do think maybe it's just because it's a fairly newer thing that I think some companies are feeling a bit, or some caterers might feel like they don't need a coordinator.
Yeah, I mean, I can only see it from the point of view, like I said earlier, of not wanting to be told what to do, because ultimately we're never going to take their job. Like we haven't got like, you know, food and beverage certification or whatever it is to go.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the catering manager is physically cooking for the most part, but like, you know, one of the sign-offs are to go into the kitchen. Like that is not our responsibility. You will always need somebody to oversee the food, but you just need somebody to oversee everything as a whole. I think kind of stepping away from attacking DJs and catering companies, I think that the problem is, and I find that when we talk about coordination, people who've never had a coordinator will say, oh, you don't need one. Like you said earlier, like, oh, my friend has done it, or like, you know, we've done it before, like my sister had one and it was great. But the difference between having one and not having one is just, it is worlds apart. And that's not even just, I mean, you don't even have to book us, but like, you don't have to book us, but it is worlds apart. And the problem is, touch wood, you'll only ever get married once. So you'll only ever experience it as a bride and groom once. So you'll never know what it would have been like to have a coordinator and not have a coordinator. And ourselves, like having got married effectively twice with a coordinator at one, and then not having coordinators for our destination wedding, like you can feel the difference, because we feel like there was somebody to run our day for us and kind of tell us what to do without us having to micromanage everything. And that's what you want in a wedding. You want to be able to know that all that money you spent, you're actually enjoying some of it and not just putting on a show for your guests. Yeah,
exactly. And that's what I say to our couples on our consults. I say, you're investing so much money, obviously, but time and effort. And if you go away and in your day is just you're just stressed, or you're frustrated, or you're running around looking at your to-do list or trying to figure out things, like what's actually the point of doing it at all? And if you don't have a certain point of contact for the day, suppliers will just call the couple, because who else are they going to call to be like, oh, the cake's here, where should I put it? Or this musician's running late, so can we start things a bit later? Unfortunately, it is the bride, or mainly the bride, that will get all these calls on their day whilst getting their hair and makeup done, and that's just not how you want to spend your wedding day. So I thought it could be good for us to maybe break down some of the stuff that we do, just to give people a better understanding. I know all different like coordinators work differently, so for the most part I think most planners, or like majority of planners, will offer coordination as well, from my understanding. I think it depends, and the way that they offer coordination is different. We will offer our two main coordination kind of services are on the day, which is essentially where our couples will have our Pristine pack. And this pack, guys, I'm not joking, has been crafted from all of our experience from all the weddings, and every wedding we learn something from, we will amend the pack to make sure it's included X, Y, and Z. So it's a very well detailed pack.
Yeah, it's super detailed, and I think for the on the day coordination, like you were talking about, that's the package that the couples themselves fill out. You obviously check it or one of our team will check it a couple of weeks before to make sure everything's filled in, answer any kind of outstanding questions, to make sure that then on the day we're able to kind of execute things as per our plan, and that's all sent out to the suppliers by the couple.
It's their month of management.
Oh yeah, so month of management is where we fill in the pack. I say we, you and the team fill in the pack for the most part a month before, and then we send it out to the suppliers.
Yeah.
So that kind of, we're then kind of a little bit more involved and not kind of just turning up on the day. And it also makes our job slightly easier because we've been involved in the run up to the wedding itself.
So we've been liaising with all of your suppliers before. And in that month is when what's really frustrating as a couple is you want to wind down a month before your wedding, but your suppliers will only want to chat to you the month of your wedding. So it's really frustrating. So we kind of bridge that gap and we basically take the lead, and we will kind of, you always hand over to us, so we'll then check everything with your suppliers. All your obvious stuff you will know, but there'll be a lot of not obvious stuff that you guys wouldn't know. So and that they could be things like who's setting up the chairs, what restrictions do you have? For example, if you're having dry ice, does the venue AC need to be turned off when you're having dry ice during your first dance? What's the loading and loading and unloading like an access? Because if you're having a central London venue, chances are it's going to be a bit difficult. So normally the venues will send a very specific guide of like how they can load and unload. If you're having, for example, a outdoor musician or a photo booth, how are they going to plug into? Where are they going to plug into? For example, recently we did a month of management at North Mims. They had an outdoor pizza truck. They weren't in the month of management. We figured out that they weren't able to actually plug into the main. So then we had to get a separate generator for it. So all these kind of like things that you don't even think about, because as a couple you're like booked it all, paid for it all, it's going to come together. But it's all these nitty gritty, and even just like timing wise of things, like if this person's loading at this time, then we can only set up decor once the tables and the tablecloths have been put down, but the tablecloths aren't being delivered until 10, which means decor can only start at 11. So it's like all of these things that again you don't realize from a supplier point of view how much goes into it, particularly for, you know, if you've got a lot going on in your wedding. I would say month of management is our most popular service. And I think couples also like it because they are a bit done with wedding planning by then, and they can just be like, here you go, please just bring this all together. And then obviously we'd coordinate on the day. So I think those two are our most popular ones. So on the day only is good for like couples that either you don't have too much going on in your wedding, or if you're a super organized couple and you're happy to be really involved. But the majority of the time people want to tap out.
I think the issue is that, and I found that with some of the weddings that we've done, is that people want the on-the-day coordination package because price-wise it's obviously a little bit cheaper because, you know, we're not involved in the wedding in the run-up to it. But they're not kind of putting in the effort that's required for us to be able to do our job to the standard that we want to do it. So the pack is kind of half filled in, and things that we've asked them to kind of chase up, they haven't chased up. But then it becomes very near the event, and then you're kind of trying to chase them up, but then also not wanting to stress them out. So sometimes we're having to come in on the day and then just sort of not necessarily put out fires, but like really try our best to bring things together rather than just ensure a seamless event. And that was always tricky. But I think you're definitely, and the team are getting really good at kind of really chasing the couple to make sure things are done to our standards. And like, you know, regardless, like we'll never let our standards slip.
Yeah, no, exactly. And ultimately, like, we can only work with what we're given. So we make sure that couples give us everything that we do need for that reason. And we've even put in our contract, when we send the pack out, that if it's not filled by the time of your wedding, and if it's not filled to like the level that we want, then we have the right to basically like not do the wedding, because we can't go there and then everything be a shit show and then it reflects on our brand, because that's not the way that we work.
And the issue with that is that often like we go to these weddings and then the guests will just see us with our fleeces or running around in our outfits and with our headphones on, and they'll just assume that we planned the wedding and refer to us as the wedding planners. And whilst we do plan weddings, if we're just there coordinating, we haven't been involved in any of the other decision making processes, and therefore we're being blamed for things which are completely out of our control, but we're still having to kind of sort things out. That's what's tricky.
No, that's a hard balance to, I guess, to find with it. I think we should talk about some of the things that we do on the day then. So typically we'll get there a couple of hours before the guests arrive. We try to come towards the end of when decor is being set up, just so we can do a final check of it all. When we get there, we check in with all the suppliers, introduce ourselves if we haven't worked with them before, check in with the venue person. We then will do a setup check and make sure right number of chairs, right number of tables if there are any tables, the decor's all been set up right.
And obviously we have the pack, right, so we can check all of these things, and if it's on the day coordination, the couple have filled it in, so we know exactly what the decor's supposed to look like, what their inventory is, where everybody's supposed to be, what the floor plan is, so everything's kind of in position, so we're able to do that. And if we weren't there, it would be the couple or just kind of
hoping for
and
the
praying.
best. So aesthetic check. We then will check in if there is any like breakfast or morning catering. We'll check in with the caterers and make sure that they're on time and their setup's been done. We then, normally at this time, photo and video will be arriving, so we'll then check in with them, and if the bride is on site or the groom's on site, we will show them where the bridal suite is and just go through any particular things for the morning. So for example, if they're doing a bridesmaid reveal, parent shots, we'll just go through timings for that again, but again, they should hopefully also have our pack, so everyone's working to those timings. We will then set up our stationery, so like welcome signs, reserve signs, ceremony
the usual
programs.
from the venue.
Yeah,
reserve signs, water bottles on the tables or under the chairs.
Yeah. And then once that's done, we then will, when guests then start to arrive, we then will usher them to where they need to go. If the bride and groom are on site, we'll always bring them, take them teas, coffees, breakfast, etc., check in on them. We'll then coordinate if there are any morning shots, like I said, about the reveals, parents' reveals. Now, guys, I know this sounds really obvious to be like you coordinated a bridesmaid reveal or a parents' reveal, but until you've had a wedding morning, you don't know how chaotic it can be.
Yeah.
And when it's that chaotic, a really simple thing like getting both your parents or your siblings or your bridesmaids in a line at your room is the hardest thing, because one of them's running late, one of them doesn't like their hair, one of them's in a different room at the opposite end of the building. Like trying to get all the people at the right place at the right time, plus your photographer, plus your videographer, plus you be ready. It takes someone external to do that.
Hence why also on the pack that you have a family timeline, and it says who's involved in that timeline, because that page can then just be sent out to the family members, and not just a generic timeline for the event saying, breakfast is at 9. It says, look, these are the group shots which are happening at this time, so they know where to be.
Yeah, exactly.
And it makes sure that everybody's on the same page as well.
Yeah, exactly. And because everyone's so chaotic in the morning and running late and stuff, it's very easy then for things for people not to be where they need to be. So we just make sure bridesmaids, right, you guys stand in a line outside, close your eyes, we're going to bring you in and do this shot. So we often help the photographers, videographers with that. So normally, because we always work in twos, one of us is kind of dealing with that. The other person will be ushering guests when they're arriving towards breakfast, or if it's not breakfast, then towards drinks, or straight into the ceremony room if it is just straight for the ceremony. Depending on what the music situation is for the morning, we'll always do a run through with either the DJ or the live musicians and just go through entrance songs and any exit songs, key songs of the ceremony, and make sure it all aligns with our pack.
And then similarly, if there's a particular entrance if it's a cultural event, for example, a Jan, we'll make sure that one of us has kind of mapped out the exact location of where it's going to be starting, where it's going to be ending. If there's a contingency plan, if it's going to be raining, what that's going to be, if it's going to be indoors, and just making sure, because it's very good in theory to go to an event and say, oh, we're going to start from there and go here, but if, for example, you're blocking the road for 15 minutes, the venue might not allow you to do that, so that often requires one of us to sense check exactly what has been decided and then kind of walk it through. And then also when it comes down to it, actually getting 200 guests to come outside is a lot harder than you think, and getting a family member that you might expect to be able to do that is trickier than you think.
Especially for if you are having like a Hindu wedding and you need to get bride side on one side, groom side on the other, you literally need to, and herding 200 people is hard work. Even between two of us, we have to separate, so one of us is moving the bride side, one of us is moving the groom side, and then making sure everyone again is in the right place. So all the family members, then you've got the musicians, photo, video, and the groom, plus or minus a car, sometimes a horse, if and then just getting them all to be moving along. And then once that bit's done, it's then moving all the guests into the ceremony. So a lot of people don't factor enough time in for this. So when I check timelines through with couples before their wedding, I'm like, we need longer here. It takes they factor in 10 minutes to move like 200 people. It takes like 20 minutes minimum to move them. So then once that's done, we'll coordinate the ceremony again, depending on your roles. So we'll always coordinate entrances. So one of us is by the musician, one of us is by the door, to be able to time it. So if you wanted to come into a particular part of the song, or if you're doing bridesmaids, if you're making sure they're in pairs, or however they're walking in, they've got their bouquets or flower petals, things like that, we'll coordinate that. And that's the great thing about having two of us, because we can, between the walkie-talkies, check in to make sure, okay, cool, come in now, it's about to be the chorus or whatever. And if it's a Hindu wedding, any of the cultural parts that we get involved with typically is after entrances, the fairas where you go around the fire, the games for afterwards, and then after the ceremony, whatever kind of ceremony it is, we'll always coordinate photo groups, which
that is a long process.
Is a very long process.
Especially in Hindu weddings or Pakistani weddings, every family member wants a photo with the couple.
Yeah.
And you need to understand your group and then factor that in, and ideally send out that group list, which you would have made on the packs, to the guests, so the guests know which group photo they're in.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're going to walk in the middle of the stage and try and get in and barge into the queue, or they'll go for lunch immediately afterwards and try and come back and miss their group photo opportunity. But yeah, that's why we're on hand to make sure things happen seamlessly, and you can get through. And again, it sounds like a very small thing, but like to get through like 30 photos in 15 minutes or 20 minutes with photos of up to like 20 people is a massive feat.
Yeah.
And the photo video team, I think that's often the point in the day where they're like, thank God you're here. Because sometimes they're a bit like, oh, okay, like we know what the plan is. But then when you are like running the day, or the team are running the day, particularly the photo groups, they're like, thank God.
Also, you just need to have someone neutral. If you have a family member, people will then be like, oh, can you just add my nephew in? Or can we do this one again? Or she missed her group because of this. Can we add her in? Like, and then you're doubling your time on, taking these photos. And then it will just be making sure if there is any lunch, taking the couple to lunch. It sounds really obvious, but quite often you don't get time to eat on your wedding day. So we're just there to make sure the couple have 5 minutes to sit down, have their lunch.
Make sure they've got a table reserved, make sure nobody's sitting at that table, make sure it's clean, make sure they've got table service. Again, speaking to the catering manager, I mean, normally they're very on these things, but, sometimes they have to clear a table out to get space for the couple.
So I think that's really key. And then we usually we're on hand to help with couple photos. So one of us will help with that while the other person's turning the room around. So that will just be, as a girl, there's nothing worse than looking back at your photos and you've got a gappy fringe, or your outfit's a bit crumpled, or your veil's a little bit off centre, or whatever it is, and it's just like, oh, why did no one tell me? So we're just there on hand with makeup top-ups and just with our emergency kit and just making sure that you look great. And if you need any help, then obviously we will be there for that, assisting that. Also just holding things. Sometimes you have to hold your bouquet or hold your like garlands or whatever it is. Phones, yeah.
I laugh because Priya's twice taken the bride's phone home.
Not stolen, guys, can I say, but just because they always give it to me and then I put it in my bum bag, and I already have 2 phones, so then I just forget that I've got an extra.
That should be real. You stole the bride's phone.
And then turn around. It's kind of similar thing to the morning, checking in the decor, making sure centerpieces and everything's right, putting all stationery out, so welcome sign, seating plan, name, places, favours. And then checking in with the DJ, all the song choices, the speech orders. If you are having any screens there, making sure the right photos are up. Yeah, testing out the same day edits. There's nothing worse, guys, when they go to play something and then if it hasn't been tested properly or the sound hasn't been tested, and then you've got all these people looking at the screen and then it just doesn't work. It's so awkward. So making sure that's all been tested. And then at this point we also take our couple some canapes and some cocktails so they can chill out and have that while they're getting ready. And then it's a similar sort of thing to the evening. So again, ushering guests when they come in, making sure food and drinks being served at the right time to the right place. And then
close the bar at the relevant times.
Yeah.
Getting the people who are doing speeches ready. So normally we'll make sure we find out what tables they're on so we can cue them so they're ready.
Yeah.
Same with the dancers as well. Make sure obviously the AV team have their dances and whatever they want on the screens if they need anything on the screens.
Yeah. A big thing as well, we check in with the caterers during the setup for the reception to just make sure the right number of place settings on each table, because you won't always have uniform tables of 10. You'll have some tables of 7, 9, 11. So making sure that's right. Number of high chairs, allergens, kid meals, just making sure again it all aligns, because you will have dropouts and you will have people randomly say, by the way, I'm now bringing my kid, or my kid has this allergy, or whatever it is. So just making sure they're aware of any last minute changes they might not be aware of.
And then obviously getting everybody ready for the entrances. So if that's the bridesmaids, the groomsmen, the family members, often the family members completely forget that they're supposed to be re-entering the hall and they're just having a good time speaking to their cousin from Canada. So getting that all ready, making sure that when the bridesmaid and groomsmen are about to come in, that they have their wedding cake or champagne tower or donut tower ready on the dance floor. And if they do have a cake, make sure that there's a knife ready, a plate ready, tissues ready, champagne ready, glasses ready, make sure it's chilled. And then immediately afterwards to make sure that we're there on hand to remove things if the caterer isn't taking it out themselves, and then also tell the caterer to make sure that they cut it, tell them which, obviously the caterers, well not obviously, but for the most part the caterers don't make the cake, so just making sure they're aware of which tiers or which flavours, which have which allergies, and so they can separate things accordingly. If the couple want things boxed up, make sure that's boxed up and sent off to their room or sent home with them.
And then towards the end, once the dance floor's opened, speeches are done, dances are done, cake's done, food's all come out, we would then pack away as much of their stuff as we can. So typically any like card boxes, we also keep a lot of like sentimental keepsakes, so like the cork from the champagne, a menu, nameplate. Sounds really obvious, but honestly, on the day, guys, you will forget to pick it up yourselves. And there's so much from both my weddings that I'm like, oh, I wish I had said someone like, please, can you save all this stuff? Like, we had amazing personalized stuff in India. Like, I don't have any of it, which I'm really sad about. So just having those little like cute things to keep, and anything DIY that we might have set up for you, whether that's photo frames or whatever it is, we would also pack that away, put it back in the bridal suite. So it just means at the end of the night, you can just go straight to bed and you don't have to be running around or sending family members around trying to find X, Y, and Z things. So yeah, that's kind of gives you some examples of what we would typically do. I feel like there's a
whole other episode on the extra things that we haven't planned for, and often the bride and groom never know about.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say we should end this one saying our top 3 things that we've done that we would never have thought we would have done as a coordinator, and then we can have a whole episode on things that the unseen fires we've put out.
I mean, there's some like minor ones. I mean, I'm just thinking off the top of my head. For me, going out during the bar service to buy another 10 bottles of gin because the bar have run out of alcohol.
One of them would be, not me personally, but Sanira from our team got asked by the venue to basically, I think the couple had hired a separate room for guests to change in, but they weren't staying overnight. It was like a changing room. And then the venue were like, we need it like basically tidied up. And Sanira was like, but I'm not the I'm not the guest, and I'm also not, you've got housekeeping for that. And the venue being so anal, and they were basically like, if you don't do it, we're going to go and tell the couple. So then we were just like, well, obviously, again, we will do anything we can to make sure the couple aren't disturbed and have the best day. So bless Sanira's heart was in that room just like clearing up all this stuff. Huh? Housekeeping. Literally, like, that's what I mean. We end up taking on all these different roles. But yeah, okay, you go.
The other one was, I was going to say the venue, but I won't say the venue. Where one of the couple's cousins came up to you and said that his wife was sick and has gone back to her room, and then asked you to then plate up food and take it to her in the room. Bear in mind, like, the room is like 15 minutes away from where the room is. And we were just like, no. Well, we didn't say it like that, but I was just like, look, Priya, I just don't think you say yes to that. First of all, like, it's not our crockery, cutlery, everything to take to the room. It's a separate, the venue and the hotel are 2 different things, even though they're within the same space, and the caterers aren't working for the hotel.
And the hotel has room service.
Yeah, and also we had other things to do.
Yeah.
But then he was insistent and then went up to the couple to then ask them to ask you to do it, which I just thought was ridiculous. And then we ended up doing it. He was also very particular about what he wanted taking up. And then I just thought, well, if your wife is sick, maybe you should take it to her or go back to the room. But yeah, that was...
But then we had to carry these massive trays that was so heavy for 15 minutes, like you said, along the hallways, up, oh my God, and deliver it. And like, it was obviously nice of us to do, but I didn't think we'd be doing room service for a random cousin's wife.
Did we even get any content from it?
No, I didn't have any hands.
What is the point?
We were carrying the trays. There was literally no hands. I'm trying to think of another one from me. So I think one of mine would be, obviously we carry so much stuff in our emergency kit, and one of our lovely brides, bless her, poor thing, oh my God, this makes me cringe just because I think about the pain she must have been in on her wedding day. Her toenail got ripped off, like got caught on her outfit and had basically ripped off, so her toe was just basically bowled and bleeding and really sore. And she, bless her, she firmed it throughout the day, was fine. And then I think in the evening her plaster had come off and like it was bleeding again, and then she couldn't reach down because she had a massive outfit on, so then I had to basically like bandage up her little bowled toe. And I hate feet, so that just shows, guys, I'm really dedicated to the cause and to our couples and to our brides. You know that I hate feet and just everything. So yeah, that was another thing where I never thought I'd be doing this as a planner / coordinator, but we come through for our couples.
Yeah, and my last one was a close elderly member of the family was unfortunately left behind in her room, and I basically had to carry her from her bed into her wheelchair and then into my car and then back into her wheelchair and then wheel her to the ceremony. I won't get into any more details because I don't want to, well, I don't know, maybe get like sued or something for
hey, but you're a doctor at the end of the day, so you're fine. And actually, had you not done that, she wouldn't have gone to the ceremony, and that would have been so heartbreaking. Imagine as the bride who didn't realise this whole thing was going on, that to look out and not see your grandma there, who's made the effort to come to the wedding but just not physically be there. So actually, that's a really, and I told you at the time, it's a really sweet thing that you've done, because I can't think of any other coordinators or planners that would be able to lift
I think that's because mostly they're female.
Yeah, I mean that too, but like also be willing to lift like an elderly, right? Because it's
Yeah.
also, you know, like it's great that your doctor also had that knowledge as well. But yeah, I guess it just shows we go above and beyond for our couples. But we'll do a whole episode on maybe things that we've learnt from, things that have, you know, gone wrong that we've had to deal with outside of our control.
Yeah, but we're gonna have to like really like run through this with a script to make sure any identifiable things are taken out.
No, it'll be anonymized and it'll just be more things that we've learnt from it, like
Yeah.
just general things.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay, guys, thank you for listening. Hopefully that was useful, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thanks for listening.
Please like, follow, subscribe for more.